Hello and welcome to the Pixelated Realms Gamescast, your guide through the digital landscapes, untangling the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Tyler Salerno, and alongside me, as always, is my friend Dustin. Welcome back, everyone. Dustin, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. We're
Yeah.
anime takeover in this bitch today. Alex can't stop us. We're kings of this fucking domain.
So, as you may have noticed, Alex is not joining us this week, our fearless leader. So, Dustin and I have decided we are going to do an anime takeover episode.
He's fearless unless it comes to his wife, because if that wasn't the case, he'd be on her right now. But he's busy doing family stuff because he's a little bitch.
he's a good human.
Yeah, what a piece of
Anyway.
shit human, but good. Actually.
Well, he's gone. We're going to talk about some anime stuff because Dustin and I are huge anime fans, which is really funny because Alex still watches anime. We're still crapping on him though. So regardless, we're going to keep it to our regular format. We'll talk about just what we've been up to. We'll hit our questions as always. If you want to submit a question, we would love to talk about it in the middle of our show. That is going to be pixelatedrealms.org/ask. And we'll talk about it in a bit. So as usual, let's talk about what we've been up to. Dustin, I heard you've been playing some games.
I have. Shocking. So my 4-year-old, he really likes PlayStation 5, and we've let's see, what did I get? I got him hooked on Astrobot at first, and so he's playing Astrobot with me, the old one, because I haven't bought the new one yet. And then I bought him the Astrobot controller that came out, the limited edition one. And then now
that's cool.
I had a handful of other games downloaded. Like we had a Peppa Pig, which sucked. But it's fun for him and it's really easy. But it sucks for me to have to play with him. But now we're playing the Star Wars Lego game. And that's
such a good
way
one.
Better. Yeah. Way better. And the problem is just he wants to try to do everything, but he can't read.
Yeah.
And he also has trouble kind of figuring out where to go on the.
Yeah, I mean the puzzle solving is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what's great though is about PlayStation 5 has that accessibility feature where I can be playing on a controller at the same time as him. It doesn't have to be 2 players. I can just take over. But then I get frustrated because I'll be trying to do something that's too tricky for him, and he's pulling on the controls on his controller. So there's a scene where but one really cool thing about this game, if you guys haven't played Lego Star Wars, it actually follows. You can play each episode, so all 9 episodes of the movie, each movie, and it actually does a really great job of following the movie storyline. It's basically watching the movie, but as a game. And obviously it cuts out a lot of the more adult stuff. And it also makes a lot more gimmicky, kid jokes in there. A stormtrooper will bonk himself on the head with a hammer, or, just really stupid little,
a little more slapsticky.
Yeah, slapsticky fun for kids. So it's very kid focused, obviously. But you really get to follow it, and so it's been really fun actually as a parent who likes Star Wars. We'll turn it on and my son will start doing the song dun 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 dun, and so
that's
he totally,
awesome.
Yeah, he totally gets it. And he'll just be, I want to play BB-8, Dad. I want to play BB-8 game now. So yeah, we'll flip it on. But yeah, when I'm trying to there's a scene where you're Obi-Wan and you're chasing Jango through the asteroid field. And it's actually a pretty difficult part because you have to shoot down Slave One 4 times in a row, basically. And it goes all over the place, it's flying around. So I'm trying to shoot this motherfucker, and my son is pulling the direction. And so I'm flying into asteroids, and I'm just stop, bro. Just let me kill this thing for you so we can get on the ground and you can just roll around as BB-8 or whatever freaking droid, because he likes doing the droid more than the humans. But or he really liked Anakin. And I was you know who that is? He's who? I'm that's Darth Vader as a kid. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's he's bad guy. I'm yeah, what? That's Darth Vader. And I was that's Obi-Wan as a middle-aged
A
person.
youth.
Like, so
Yeah.
he's like trying to comprehend this
That's
because we
awesome.
played episode 4, 5, and 6 first, and then now we've went back to episode 1 and
Yeah.
we're playing this. I think we're in episode 2 right now, and if I'm a good father, we just won't play 7, 8, and 9. But
I mean,
we'll
you
see.
know, but I would like it's so it's funny because when you go like when you or not funny, but it's going to be cool because when you show him these movies again, I'm sure you've like put them on or something, but like when he sits down and watches them, yeah, he'll have a better he'll be able to make those like neural connections and be like, oh yeah, I remember playing this in my game. This is like, and he'll understand the story better, and it's really cool. The Lego Star Wars games and Lego in general just does such a kick-ass job at like bordering. I mean, they always have, right? Like everyone's a kid when it comes to Legos, and that has applied to their video games since like day one. I remember when the first Lego, I'm sure you do too, like when the first Lego Star Wars came out. That was the first Lego game, if anyone. Or okay, wait. I want to correct the record there. It wasn't the first Lego game. There was other Lego games, but the first time Lego partnered with like a big IP and produced this like retelling of a story, we got Lego Star Wars, and it was just 4, 5, and 6, if I remember correctly. And they redid it and created the Skywalker saga, which includes 7, 8, and 9. So either way, there's been multiple renditions, but they've just always done such a killer job of creating a game that's both fun for children and adults.
Yeah,
and that goes to the movies too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was really surprised.
Oh no, they have all of. I
9
mean,
episodes in the game. I was like, oh shit, this is like everything, which was pretty cool.
And actually, those are there. That's a whole. I assume you're playing the Skywalker saga.
Probably.
That's the most recent version of.
It's whatever one is
because
free
that
on PlayStation that was part of your subscription. It's probably
okay.
It's probably
because there's two versions essentially of Lego Star Wars. There's the older version and there's an updated version with new. It's a new like I don't know if it's a new engine entirely, but it's updated.
Yeah, it looks good.
But yeah,
they're more excited to play like Horizon when it comes out. It'll be cool.
Yeah,
and then even the movies, right? Like I went and saw actually pre-kids. I went and saw Lego Batman in the theaters. And
yeah, it's great, right?
It's really good. But I did like sitting there as an adult without a kid with me, and like just me and my wife went because we had the AMC's pass at the time, so we could go to 3 movies a week.
Okay.
So, oh fuck it, let's go see Lego Batman. I was like, this is like a little too for kids to be here without a kid. But right. I could see.
But if you're watching it at home, yeah,
if you have kids or you're watching at home, like there are a little like adult jokes that you'll pick up on that like, oh, that's funny, which I love because it's, and this is going way off the rails now, but like Bluey is the same way. Like parents love Bluey because
if you have a small kid and you haven't gotten into Bluey, what have you been doing? Yeah,
like because the episodes, there's so many like messages for the parents also with the kids, so they do a really great job of balancing.
But going back to Lego, it's funny because I have a little bit I can pull off of from recent experience. So as everyone probably knows at this point, I'm a Star Wars fanatic, right? And I go between phases. So I get super obsessed and then I stop and then I go back to being super obsessed.
That's just kind of you with everything though.
No. That's ADHD hyperfixation. Like I'm open. I'm an open book about it. And it's great. No, it's a fun way to exist. So I've been watching the Rebuild the Galaxy, which is a Star Wars Lego story, but basically it's just like off the rails. So basically what happens, and this isn't spoilers for anyone, but like the first episode, the main character pulls the Lego brick of the universe out, and that rearranges the Star Wars universe, which we all know and love, to be basically flipped on its head. So the first and most notable thing is Jar Jar is a Sith Lord. And like his brother's now a Sith Lord. Luke is a lazy surfer guy. Like every character is flipped on their head and either evil or
of Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. It's what if. So and honestly, I just wanted to try the first episode. I knew it was intended for kids, but it's Lego, so I thought maybe I'd have some fun. I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, no, they did a great job. It was like, it had me laughing, like, and I just like, it also made me remember of just being like, like it's okay to laugh about like stupid, not like master comedy. You know, like I can't
Yeah.
remember any of the moments, but there was a couple moments that were just stupid. Oh yeah. So this was a great one. I do remember one. So we are in the 8th movie when the hologram of Luke goes down to that planet where they're getting sieged on, that red planet with the salt layer. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
I hope you do too, listeners. So we're talking the end of the 8th movie, that planet I can't remember the name of with the salt fields. Well, they're doing the scene where basically everything, the universe is changing. And so you have the rebel trooper guy in the 8th movie. This is a scene that happens. He touches the white powder and puts it to his mouth and he goes, "Oh, salt." Right? You might remember this? And so the universe, he does that in the Lego verse, and then it does the universe change, and then he just goes, "Pepper." And I'm just like, it's such a stupid joke. It's such but I'm like, come on, man. It's just like, it's just good comedy. It's just silly, good comedy. Like, it's so lighthearted, man.
Yeah, yeah, and like yeah, that's like what I was kind of talking about with like in the game too. It's just like this really like lighthearted, like just little
Yeah.
things they plug in everywhere that are just kind of really funny. So yeah, no, they do a great job with it. We're almost through it. I'm kind of looking forward to being through it and then going on to the next thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's been fun.
Well, lucky for you, you got Lord of the Rings. You got like, there's so many movie series you can go through with him with these.
Yeah.
So you got I'm blanking on like so many, but there's quite a few.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, I want to talk about what I have been playing because I know the community was strongly passionate about our last video. No, I love it. It was great, and honestly, like, and for those who watch the full video, just so you know, if you, I thought it was really funny some of the comments because I was like, guys, like the video, the whole time I'm saying like I've only spent like 6 to 8 hours in this game. My opinion can and probably will change, and that game is Metaphor Re Fantasio. If you watched the video last week, we were talking about it and kind of questioning whether this hype was justified or not based on how much time the game has been out. I only was able to get about 6 to 8 hours in at that time. Now I have about 18 hours in the game. I think it's more like 20. And I'm really happy to say, guys, I do actually feel very differently than I did last week. Not just because
This
of
guy
people's
over here
comments or any videos.
faster than
I know,
somebody who left their Instagram
No!
live on by accident.
I love it. No. And I'm the kind of person who, and I hope the channel has shown this, that I make my opinions and then I adjust those opinions as new evidence comes out. And I am so happy to say I actually do feel very different. It was kind of almost a perfect storm. So in Metaphor Re Fantasio, the first like 8 hours or so are very classic Persona style gameplay. You're basically exploring a dungeon in the main city called Grand Trad. And in that light, if you are just examining it by that, which is what I was, it did have a lot of similarities. As soon as I beat that dungeon, the game totally changes and opens up and actually introduces a ton of different mechanics that I would say do distinctly separate it from Persona. So it's kind of just funny that like I just happen to like have this segment of the game, which I might have like a 1% criticism of, where it's like, why was the first 8 hours of your game so significantly different than the next like 60 hours? But you know what? That's probably not substantiated. Like
maybe I will switch back.
The point being, sure. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. But the point being is this game, Persona is a game that takes. Okay, first and foremost, I want to say one more thing as well. Not first and foremost. Here's my third to 10th point. I also don't agree that it's completely unfair to draw comparisons to these two games. Yes, I understand they should be judged somewhat separately, and I do definitely do that to some degree. But when you are sharing a system this much, I'd say at least 50% of the stock of this game is from another game that they publish. I think there is some fairness. That is how the human brain works. We do not just make basic judgments off of segmented data. We have to make comparisons to other things of the same kind in order to understand the world around us. Like,
Well,
there's
let's
no.
also educate people here that might not know this, but this game is created by like the people who run the studio are like three of the
It
major
is.
players from the Persona franchise. Like it is the director, I think the composer and like the art designer of the
Yeah.
Persona franchise created this studio, and it's just kind of wild that Atlas actually they're both under Atlas or
They
Sega.
published it. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
Or
like
you're right.
they
No,
have
it
a
is Atlas. It is Atlas. That's
yeah
what I'm not sure I get.
yeah. So it's kind of wild that it's like this game that is so similar to this other game that these guys created that you also publish. But yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
one of the comments I responded to this guy who was one of the more upset people was like, dude, it's always gonna draw a comparison of Persona because of the people who made it. Like, how can
Yeah.
you not? It'd be like
That's
the
just
guy
what
who
we.
made Porsche
That's
going to
to,
create a new company with a
right.
car that looks very very similar to a Porsche. Like
You know, it's like, how does. I, yeah, I just. What else do you. If you don't. If you're trying to just take every single video game and analyzing it in a box, then I feel like you're getting a really narrow analysis of that game. And like, I think, I don't know, I'm really impressed with this game. I want to keep talking about like the mechanics, and I don't want to spoil anything because this is a game, like I said, where 6 hours into the game, 8 hours into the game, it felt quite a bit different than I am now in 18 hours into the game. But so it's hard because I don't want to spoil things for people, and I think this is the kind of game where like you need to not say spoilers because it does drive it. But I think what is important is that it's a really fun game, and just to loop us back to the anime takeover, I just love to draw a positive comparison. I love the Persona games because they were this incredible mix of anime plus action. Right, I felt like no other game nails the feeling of you being an anime character like Persona, and like Persona and ReFantazio. You feel like you are the main protagonist. You get to make choices that affect the game and grow your character's skills and abilities. You get the cool anime Super Saiyan stuff. You get to be the main character. So I just think like these types of games are just so well done, that like it is just really an enjoyable experience overall. I do want to say though, Persona 5 just had some incredible like design and flair, and what's the word I'm looking for? Just like style. You know what I mean? I don't know. I played Persona 4, I
fit
played
the
Persona
vibe.
3. I thought they were really good. But like Persona 5, dude, had style. Like, I'm willing to say like on the level of like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. Like, you know how those Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo both have so much style that they are their own genre, basically.
Yeah,
I feel that way about Persona 5. I felt like Persona 5 had such great music, environment, style, attitude, like flair that like it dude, like it was just its own world, you know?
yeah.
And that's not a hit on ReFantazio. I'm just trying to dote on Persona because I thought Persona 5 was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, look at if you're comparing it to a game, the Persona series, which is one of the most highly like regarded franchises in video games, especially in the JRPG segment, like then this game must be doing some stuff right, like so.
Absolutely. It's doing most things right.
So it's not a bash to compare it to Persona. It's like a compliment at the highest level, and the fact that some
Right.
people even think it's better, or at least on the level, like
That's
yeah, it's a
awesome.
huge compliment.
Yeah,
So,
and that's the thing is like I know, and I said this last week, and I still say this today. I haven't changed my mind. This is the kind of game where at 80 hours when I beat it, or at 100 hours when I beat it, I might walk away and be like, that was the best game I've ever played. Because of all of that build up, like Final Fantasy games or Persona or any epic Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Final. I said all the Final Fantasies. Either way, the point being is when you build up a character for that long, the game feels fucking awesome. Same with The Witcher 3, right? You finished The Witcher 3, dude. I don't think I've ever felt better after finishing that game. And I was just like, right now, this is my favorite game of all time. There's nothing that can beat the endorphins that are flooding my head. And so
a lot of people felt the same way.
Yeah, no, I mean, The Witcher 3's, and then Cyberpunk came out, and I was like, you bastards, he really got me by the by the neck here. So yeah, I'm just really impressed with ReFantazio and the way they've adapted it. It's become, once again, was trying to be as spoiler free as possible. It's become this kind of grand tournament where everyone's kind of running around the world fighting each other, and your main character has this noble cause, but I know by the end of it that noble cause is going to have them end up being sort of the let's just say the big deal by the end of the game. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to play it. I'm having a lot of fun. And sorry folks, just to call out one more thing that I just think is so cool. So once again, I apologize for the probably what is a minor spoiler, but there's these things called gauntlet runners in the game. And if you play Final Fantasy games or JRPGs in general, you know that a lot of the times you get like an airship or a blimp or a submarine or a boat in these games to travel around the world, right? It's kind of a staple of Final Fantasy. Usually it's an airship. In this game, you essentially find your way into what's called a gauntlet runner. Do you have any guess, Dustin, what a gauntlet runner is? Without Googling it?
A cup? I have no idea.
It's a traveling cup. Not far. No, it is what I would call a traveling chicken. It is a 2-legged airship, basically, and it runs instead of like floating or anything, and it runs on 2 legs. And here's the situation. So when you're traveling in this game, you have time, like in the Persona games, to level up your stats, to level up other things, talk characters, develop relationships. You can go outside to the deck, and I was just thrilled that you can go onto the deck and you sit on this gauntlet runner, and the chicken is just like running, and you're on the deck, and the deck is swaying back and forth left and right, and it shows you the terrain, the actual terrain in the game of where you're at. So you're like running around, bumping around at this really unsteady ride in the desert or in the forest, during this travel. And it was just one of those little things, right? They didn't have to do that. They could have just said, no, you can't go outside. But they programmed a map for every single thing for your chicken dude to run across, and so it's just it's those little things that definitely make me think, wow, maybe this does deserve the rating it's been getting.
Is a gauntlet a cup? Is that another word for a cup?
A gauntlet is a cup or a type of wrist guard, right?
Yeah, infinity
gauntlet, or hand,
right? Like
armor. Yeah. But
I was like, did I fuck that up?
I don't know why they're called gauntlet runners. You're just gonna have to. Why is it called Metaphor ReFantazio, right?
I was just thinking, like, how funny of like a mechanic would that be to work into a game where like you have like the spinning teacups and you get in there spinning and it like spins across the universe, and like when you get off of it, like you kind of dizzy. The character's a little throwing up first. Like, dude, like how funny would that be though if like they worked that into a game where like that was the travel method? Is like, I don't know. If anyone watches this who makes like an Alice in Wonderland game, like there you go. There's some fucking free.
There's your totally like, not great idea for you.
What? It's an amazing idea. People would love it.
Teacup powered transportation. Great idea.
Yeah, dude. Hey, you know what? Somebody 5 years from now will be talking about it. Like, I don't want to have like it's a little bit of a spoiler. All right. It's a little bit of a spoiler for you guys, but let me tell you about this teacup transportation system. And so,
like
this conversation,
Tesla, get out of
5 years later.
I like it.
So, anyways, well, that's what the question time we got going on.
No, I like it. Yeah, and we'll dive into some anime after. So, as always, we have a few questions. Once again, if you'd like to submit a question, guys, Ralph is carrying you, community, and I think you owe him a little bit. No, we owe Ralph like 3 steak dinners, but No, please submit some questions, guys. This is, this helps guide what we talk about. Like some weeks, we have more to talk about than others. So, like, please throw some questions in there that might become the main topic of the show. So, as always, Ralph, our main man, has submitted a question for us. Looks like two. So let's get this started. He said, if you could get a tattoo or artwork of a reference to a video game, what would you get? That's a pretty good question. What do you think, Dustin?
I already have a wolf Triforce on my back, so that's already been answered.
So, Twilight Princess?
Yeah, I just really like wolves, but then I also really like Zelda, and I was like, how
Oh.
could I make this into one thing? So it's like a tribal howling wolf, and then into the tribal.
Okay, it's
design, I
not
have
like specifically Twilight Princess.
It's not specific. Even though I do like Twilight Princess, but yeah, I have a Triforce tattoo. So
that's cool. I'll answer for Alex because he's not here. Alex has a bounty hunter mythosaur on his arm. He also has a sleeve with a whole bunch of Star Wars and video game stuff on it. So I know Alex has a lot of video game tattoos. I like talking about this. However, I don't think I'm ever going to get a tattoo just because I'm so indecisive. I know anything I get on my body, I would later want off my body. So that's just my personal feelings about it. But I like thinking about it. And one thing I've always thought about here,
you forget they're even there. I totally forget.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I'll be at the pool. Oh, I didn't know you had a tattoo. I was like, oh, I forgot I had a tattoo.
So I have two ideas. One has nothing to do with video games, so I won't share it. But the second one, I actually do. I love pixel art. So I'm thinking about either like on my back or like on my wrist, somewhere I would rather like be able to look at it, like I don't want it on my back where I can't see it. I wanted to do like basically a pixel symbol of my favorite franchises. So it'd be like maybe, a Triforce, Pixel Triforce, and then a Pixel like Mega Man symbol, or like a Final Fantasy character pixel. So just like a series of like little charms, basically, of my favorite franchises that kind of like says like, like he loves these, obviously, So yeah, I think that would be really cool. But like I said, I just change my mind on things so much, and Dustin deals with children problems. There's just so many franchises though that are so near to dear to me. That's all good. So like Final Fantasy, Mega Man, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, like those are things I think would be cool to have little symbols of. One day someone's like looking at me under the microscope, like, oh, the guy obviously liked Star Wars.
I've thought about that too. I've thought about a bunch of other tattoos that I've wanted to get, and like Alex, I really wanted to get like a half sleeve. That's like, I don't know if Alex has a full or not, but I wanted to get a half that had like
I think different
video games that like had significant, impact on my life. So I wanted to have like something about Warcraft,
yeah, Warcraft. Like I didn't even say Warcraft.
Like probably something Warcraft,
probably
like something like Batman. Or I was thinking about before when I was going to get they have a really bitchin' Night Elf logo. I was like,
Katie's sister actually got a really bitchin' Night Elf logo. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, there's one that's like
it's
awesome.
Sick.
But yeah, something Warcraft, like probably like something like to do with comics, but also like maybe like Counter-Strike because that was a huge game.
One Piece.
Now
for me, I'd want to do One Piece.
So yeah, just like different like nerd culture things throughout my life that have like defined me as a person or like my interests would be pretty cool. But that's
we're American otakus, man.
Such a fucking like big tattoo that would be like such a commitment. It's hard for me to like make that do it as much as I want to. Like a part of me is like, oh, this would be so fucking cool. But yeah, I just probably never will, even though I like the idea. If
I could like commit for like 5 years, like I'd be like, oh, this will stay on for like a good chunk of time. Like I think I would like be more open to it, but yeah, I can't get over the idea of being like 80 and having like something on me and just being like, no, I still love it, but I just feel silly. Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know, so it's just a personal like, it's just I think they're super cool. But yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Ralph. Diving into our second one here, we got character comparison week 2. So I love this. I'm a big fan of comparing characters for fun, man. Like there's no right? It doesn't. It's just like, why not? So this one is Joel from The Last of Us versus Arthur from Red Dead Redemption 2. Very good ones. What do you think, Dustin?
Played either of those games, so I have no opinion.
Oh my God! Wait, okay, I'm sorry, but you're fired. So go play those games and then you can come back.
PlayStation when they remaster Last of Us. I'll definitely do it on PlayStation 5. I don't know if that. I don't know. Did they remaster it already?
No, they did. They did. Yeah. They already remastered the second one, and it was like a couple, like 5 years ago. Like, no, less than that.
Yeah,
dude, can we just talk about that for a second? Dude, there should be like a minimum 5 years before you can remaster a goddamn game, dude. Like, you can,
they got a lot of shit when they first announced that they were remastering. I'm like, this game's not even old.
I'm pretty sure The Last of Us is getting its second one. I thought it's getting its second like remaster. I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, you guys cannot just keep like stop.
Suck as much money out of that well as you can.
Okay, so I'll talk about these characters since you haven't played these games, and I've
also just never had I've never had an interest in Red Dead. I want to play the Last of Us series, but Red Dead's just, I don't know. It's never really done much for me.
Sure,
but I'm not a GTA guy.
So
either,
Joel,
so I'm just not a Rockstar guy.
Dude, I never beat the GTA campaign. Sue me, honestly. Like, I just get so bored. Anyway, another topic. So Joel, Last of Us, right? We got a father who, I really hope this isn't spoiler, loses his child in the beginning of the game.
What? Oh my God.
Adopts. Yeah, I mean, you're a little late on that one. Go watch the show. Kind of is forced to adopt Ellie, our character in the game. Excuse me. Really struggles with the trauma of losing his daughter and protecting Ellie. The game explores that by the end, and through some extreme circumstances.
His brother died pretty early too.
His brother does not die.
Okay.
Yeah, right. His brother joins the Resistance and leaves him.
Spoilers. Wow.
I'm sure someone can remind me if I haven't beaten 2, so I don't know if there's elaboration on that story. So Joel has like an incredible arc. He is also the main protagonist of the game. You play him. He has a really emotional arc. It is just I mean, if you haven't played The Last of Us, Dustin, it is just, even just play it on easy mode or play it on like medium mode and get through the game, because it is just like whatever 6 to 8 hours of just pure wonderful storytelling. And actually, the talking of TV shows today a little bit, the TV show does a fantastic job. I mean, really fantastic job.
64 called me and he's like, "Have you seen this? Have you ever heard of The Last
Cry
of
like
Us? This is fucking awesome." And I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, I know it's a very, very popular video game."
And the game, right, like games should, it immerses you into it. Just so I really do recommend it. It's an amazing story. Talking about Arthur a little bit, right? So Arthur is the main protagonist of Red Dead Redemption 2. You're part of a gang of kind of Western ruffians who basically flee the east, more towards California area, more towards the west. Well, really, they're not even close to California. They're like in the mid part of the United States. And, you're kind of this like, yeah, you guys roll around trying to save your gang, but like kind of being immoral at the same time. He has a pretty great character progression as well. I don't know. I think it's hard to make comparisons in general, but I think Joel just is such an amazing character and has such a great like story, and it's kind of, I don't know, minimalistic and simple to a degree. Arthur, it's a little bit more open-ended. You have a little bit more room to be the Arthur you want to be, I think, in Red Dead 2. But ultimately, I don't know. I think Joel is just a really amazing character, and like it being adapted to TV really showed us how amazing of a character it is. So yeah, I think for this week I'll go with Joel. Right. Cool. That's it for questions. We're gonna move on to our, let's call it our main topic. Anime Takeover. But before we do that, please, we really appreciate it if everyone would like subscribe and comment on our videos, because that is the way it helps us continue and grow. So we'd really appreciate that, and we want to engage with you. So moving to anime, we're just gonna have fun. So we didn't overly plan anything. What are our favorite anime adaptations, anime game adaptations, and vice versa? What are our favorite game adaptations of anime? Wait, that's what I said. And vice versa, and anime adaptations of games. Go at it.
Well, I would have to say game to anime. Like, it's hard not to have Arcane on there. I thought Riot
Yeah.
did a great job with Arcane. Characters are fantastic. Story is really good. I'm looking forward to the second and surprisingly final season. I think comes out next month.
I didn't hear that. It's final season?
Yeah, they're not going to do another one after this.
Wow.
Which is kind of surprising.
It must be so laborious to make that show. It is so clean. And is that an American studio or is it Japanese? Because
I'm not sure. Probably American though,
Okay.
because Riot's all American. So let's see who.
Yeah. Well, they're owned by Tencent too, but
Well, but that's only a portion of
Tencent
Riot's.
owns everyone.
Yeah, literally.
But either way, Arcane. I mean,
French animation studio Fortiche makes Arcane. That's kind of surprising.
Well, we'll be
Viva
loose
la
with
France.
the anime. But yeah, I mean, Arcane season 1 was incredible. Like elaborating on like League of Legends has always stood on its own without even needing like lore. But like having such a like 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 like lore TV show has just like really raised the bar. I also found out recently. The main actress in Fallout, her name is Ella Purnell. She voices Jinx as an adult. And I was just wow, like she's just killing it. Love her in Fallout. We're watching Yellow Jackets right now. So I've just been seeing her all over and she's great.
Yeah, though, Arcane's great. Cyberpunk, the anime is amazing. The first episode kind of sucks, frankly. Like it was like
it's set up.
Yeah, it's set up. It's like
okay, wait. If we're gonna move to there, then no, this is one of the greatest, in my opinion. If you take a game, Cyberpunk 2077, and adapt it to an anime, which was Cyberpunk Edge Runners, dude, that was, I don't know if I like cried watching Edge Runners. Like
Edge Runners is fucking amazing. I love it. I just thought the
Edge Runners enhanced Cyberpunk in the same way that Cyberpunk enhances Edge Runners, and it's beautiful. I love that. Like they were literally, it was just a perfect, like artistically, they were exactly the same. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone be so artistically in sync than between Edge Runners and Cyberpunk. Usually there'll be like some similarities, be like, oh, that's in the game.
Yeah,
no. It was was the UI, like, and because that's canonical in the game, it's part of their technology. But just the way that they interwove that show back into the game. So when you go and play Cyberpunk 77, you'll find Edge Runner symbols, you'll find their equipment, you'll find the graves of some of the characters, you'll find the intro video. It's in a trash can somewhere. Like the way they integrated these all together was beyond perfection to me. I just bought a board game that is coming out that is Edge Runners, basically. It's a Cyberpunk war game, as would surprise no one, but it's Edge Runners. So I don't know. It just nailed it. 10 out of 10 for me. Perfect.
Plus, Lucy is super banging. Let's not forget about that.
Dude, Lucy, yeah. Lucy is
awesome.
Is banging. But hey, don't forget about our girl. God damn, now I'm gonna forget her name.
She's not banging.
The girl in the pink and green.
Yeah, no.
She is crazy. That's the best. I love that character. But no, Cyberpunk was
when the one person gets blasted and she like goes all insane. I don't want to.
Dude, that show. I mean, obviously not for children. Like anyone under like 16 probably shouldn't be watching it. But it is. It makes some really good points about like. Yeah, it's a great show. But now going the other way around a little bit, right? So you and me are both big One Piece fans. I have played quite a few of the One Piece adaptations, right? So I'll get into this like One Piece phase and I'll be like, I would do anything to be Luffy and mess some people up right now, right? So let me I need to remind myself, sorry viewers. I need to remember the name of the game because it's
We need
Oh,
a
it's exactly what I thought
AAA
it was.
MMO
Okay.
of One Piece.
Oh, dude, that's a whole episode, right? So there's a series. There's a whole bunch of One Piece games. If you're a fan of One Piece, you probably know they pump these things out because they know people will buy them because it's attached to One Piece. Like the phone games, I am not exaggerating. There's like a new phone game every month for One Piece, and it's the same thing like every time, and they all suck.
I think that's why I
So
haven't played it though, is because I feel like it's like Dragon. It's gonna be like Dragon Ball games where like there's so many bad ones, and there might be like one.
but there's good Dragon Ball games.
Yeah, no, I know there are, but like there's
You know what I mean?
a lot more bad ones than good ones.
Sure. And that's the problem, right? Is you don't really know which ones are worth it. So I usually go pretty like review heavy. I'll like look at all the reviews. So there's a series called the One Piece Pirate Warrior. Anyone who is familiar with anime is probably familiar with these. These are basically they take the Dynasty Warriors franchise and they give it a facelift, and then they release that game as One Piece Dynasty Warriors or Berserk Dynasty Warriors, or you can take any anime and adapt it to Dynasty Warriors because Dynasty Warriors is all about a hero like wiping out squads of guys all at once. And so it just the anime comparison is just absolutely perfect. So the Pirate Warrior franchise I have played. You basically are One Piece characters playing in Dynasty Warriors. So you run around the map. The little guys don't really do anything to you. You go around, you do your gum moves, and you take over bases and you kill big groups of guys. It's a really
Luffy doesn't
enjoyable
kill
gameplay.
people,
There's a okay, knock him out with way too much force. Permanent brain damage. Like Batman doesn't kill people, right?
He should though. Batman should kill people.
So he does though. Let's be real. So the Pirate Warriors games are good. They, I don't want to explain too much because you really just have to play a Dynasty Warriors game to understand. But you run around, you have the full cast at your disposal, right? So you could play Zoro, Luffy, Sanji, random characters, maybe even Vivi's in there, right? Like you can play Whitebeard, you can play Blackbeard. They're just ridiculous games. But they're fun. They get the job done. They make you feel like the character. They make you feel powerful. They give you the ability to kind of like sit there and upgrade. So I don't know. I like them. But there's also been like a lot more One Piece games. So like there was this one that came out. I want to say it was called Grand Odyssey, and that was all right. Internet check. One sec. Yeah, One Piece Odyssey. Sorry, not Grand Odyssey. One Piece Odyssey, and it's like basically a turn-based. Persona. No, I'm just kidding. It's a turn-based. Tax collectors. So it's a turn-based One Piece game, and it kind of plays out like a Final Fantasy or a Persona style. It didn't really get great reception, so I never ended up getting it myself. But it looked beautiful, and I heard like it had some really cool, mechanics to it. So yeah, I mean, I think the moral of the story here is that like anime games can be. There's so many anime games that are produced just to sell, but then there is a few that are actually like really good and fun adaptations.
Yeah, I agree. And then like we also have like we don't need to dive into it because it's so obvious, but like Pokemon is obviously like
right.
fantastic.
Pokemon's like the first one, right? Yeah.
And it's I like this meme I recently seen on Instagram, and it's like it shows like Pikachu into Ash's house with Ash, and it's like Pikachu has taken a liking to your mom, and then it shows the guy who plays Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, and it's like
Willem
I'm
Dafoe.
a bit of a Pikachu myself. It's like really funny.
Terrible.
Like, that's hilarious. I guess like the last
but that's
one.
Yeah.
Because we have to. We got to wrap up soon. Is what about like animes that are about video games? And I bring this up because I know you.
I like that.
And I just started watching Overlord, and mostly because there's so much Albedo stuff out there that I just had to watch it because I'm Mr. Waifu over here, and I was like, okay, like not only is Albedo like everywhere, but the show seemingly has good reviews. So I looked it up and like I was like, yeah, it's like 4.5 stars everywhere. So I was like, okay, let's check
Very
it out.
well
And
received.
yeah, and so like what I flipped it on and like as a huge WoW player back in the day, like it was really fun to like see like this MMO setting and he's like talking about his guild mates who have now like moved on from the game and he's like sitting there like, oh, the servers are
So
about to go
relatable.
offline, you know, and he's just like
Wow,
reminiscing
dude, private
about
servers, I've been there, man.
yeah, he's like reminiscing about like all these good times and it like he even like, you know, this is all in the first 10 minutes, so not over spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it, but he goes and like reprograms some of the NPCs and one of them he like the guy who created Albedo like originally made her to be like this is like kind of a bitch character like who's like an asshole to everyone and he like recodes her to like be madly in love with his character because he's like whatever the game's gonna go offline in 5 minutes and he's actually like he's in his narration he's like I hope my old guildmate doesn't mind because you know and he's like really respectable about everything all his other guildmates have created in this world and then at midnight it clicks over and like basically all the NPCs like come to life and he like gets transported right now I'm 5 episodes in so he's not quite sure like what the fuck's going on so he's like I'm in this different world and all the NPCs kind of like can think for themselves and like basically like this whole new like actual living world that I'm in and but now Albedo is like insanely infatuated with him and he tries to like figure out why like when it first happens the click over he's like trying to figure out like what's going on so he's like Albedo can I like touch you and then she's like yeah and so he does that and then he's like what the fuck and then he's like Albedo can I touch your chest he's like this is the final test to see if if we're in a different world and she's like and he's like waiting for her to lash out and she's like oh my god I would love that and so like there's this like this scene and he's fondling Albedo but then like 5 minutes later and
it's like Chainsaw Man all over
yeah
again,
like but like 5 minutes like he's like contemplating wow I am in a different world and the whole time he's still filling up Albedo and he's like oh my god I can't believe I'm still doing this to you and I don't know it's just like kind of bonkers but it was really funny also but then now like it's progressed a little bit I'm like I guess almost halfway through season 1 because it's about 13 episodes each but yeah it's been cool to like see this video game world where he's like using his spells.
It's just fun for you because you have that experience, right?
Yeah, he's like this max level character, but like nobody knows who he is or that they were even in a video game. So he's like using spells that he has, and they're just like, oh my god, he's like this god tier sorcerer or magician, and they're just like, where did this guy come from? But he's like, so it's interesting. I'm really curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, if you like Overlord, like a shout out to you. And if you want to watch an anime that's about an overpowered character at the end of a MMO, check it out. And then the last thing, my last comment will just be the one game I've always wanted, the anime to game adaptation I've always wanted that exists, but I'm not convinced is any good, is Sword Art Online. There's like 10 Sword Art Online games, but I'm not convinced any of them are worth playing. So if they are worth playing, let us know in the comments. So I'll leave that there. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Please like, comment, and subscribe as always. And if you want to ask us a question for next episode, that's at pixelatedrealms.com pixelatedrealms.org/ask one more time. So thank you for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.